Are you thinking about making a move to Corona? Listen, on the surface, it might look like the perfect mix of affordability and location. But once you start digging a little deeper, you'll see that some things might make you think twice. For years now, Corona has been known as a commuter city, meaning you're able to buy a home here, you're able to live here in Corona, and still work next door in the OC, Orange County, or maybe even in LA. But because you are still close enough, you're able to buy a home here at Inland Empire home prices. In other words, get more house for your money. But Corona is facing some growing pains that anyone considering moving here definitely needs to know about.
Let's hear them then.
If we look today in 2025, the population here in Corona, just over 162,000. However, if we go back to 2000, 25 years ago, the population was only about 129,000. That's an increase of 33,000 people over that time frame, which that 33,000, that alone is not that much less than the population for some cities here in the area. Let's do this. Let's start with the pros of living in Corona. And probably one of the biggest pros of why so many people have chosen to call Corona home, and that is the location.
Location.
I kind of hinted at this one already because if you work in Orange County, you're right next door. So if you do work in Orange County, you don't have to live in Orange County and pay those Orange County home prices because in most cases, I'm going to call it that, in most cases, you're going to be able to buy a home right next door in Corona, in maybe a larger home, more yard space at, let's call it a much more user-friendly price point. Here in Corona, you have some really popular neighborhoods like Eagle Glen, Sierra del Oro, you have Dos Lagos, just to name a few. Hey, real quick, if this is your first time here, my name's Jose and I am your SoCal Realtor. Here we help Inland Empire homeowners sell smart, buy their next home better, and move with confidence. So if you are thinking about making a move, don't hesitate to reach out. My team and I, we are here and ready to help. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and get back to the rest of the video. From what I have seen, I would have to say that you're going to find quite a few neighborhoods here in Corona that really are pretty popular for families. And one of the reasons for that, as you can see here, are the schools. They tend to be pretty highly rated. In fact, if you're interested in getting more information on the scores and grades for any individual schools here within the city of Corona, a great resource for that is greatschools.org. Phenomenal resource. I mean, they do very deep dives into these schools, really break it down for you and give you some great information on that. Greatschools.org. In fact, actually, after you get done with this video, I have a link that you can use down below. Also, there is no shortage on shopping and parks and amenities all here in Corona. First of all, you have the Crossing Shopping Center. There's also the Dos Lagos Shopping Center, as well as the Corona Hills Plaza. All have tons of shopping and dining options. Not to mention the lake that's here at Dos Lagos. I think most people will tell you it really is pretty cool. Also here in Corona, you have the Over the Moon escape room. You also have SC Village paintball. In fact, I have a couple of friends that they love going there. There's the Big Air trampoline park, Tom's Farms. And if you enjoy outdoor hiking, Fresno Canyon Trail, it isn't the longest hike, but it has some pretty neat views of the city. As for the cons to living here in Corona, I would have to say the number one complaint that I do hear most, it would probably have to be the commute.
I thought that was a good thing.
Traveling on that 91 freeway can be brutal. Yeah, if you work in the OC, but you choose to buy a home in Corona, right next door, get more home or get that home for less, or maybe do both, get more home for less, right? Obviously that's not a bad thing. That's a very good thing. It's just that the commute into work on the 91 freeway, even though it's basically right next door to get into the OC, but that commute on the 91 freeway, it can, sometimes it really can feel a little bit like a grind, just because that 91 freeway, for a good majority of the Inland Empire, that's the only way to get into the OC. Yes, there are toll roads, depending on where exactly in the OC that you're going, but there are toll roads that can help make the commute a little bit easier, but just be forewarned, I mean, they can get a little pricey. Another con would have to be the home prices.
Wait, I'm confused.
Let me clarify what I mean by that, because the home prices here in Corona, yeah, they are cheaper than the most of the home prices in the OC in Orange County. It's just that the they aren't as cheap as they used to be. The prices, they have gone up. I know, where haven't they gone up, right? But while Corona is definitely cheaper than most parts of the OC of Orange County, or even LA, most of LA I should say for that matter, but while it is cheaper than that, when you compare it to the rest of the Inland Empire, maybe not so much. I would have to say this though, from what I have found is that Corona tends to be pretty popular for many families that are just looking to be able to purchase more home for their money. Again, when you compare it to most of those coastal cities, but purchase more home for their money. Or if maybe you do work in the OC in Orange County and you don't want to have to make a long commute, but you also don't want to have to pay those Orange County home prices, or if you're looking for just a nice suburban neighborhood or city with schools that have good ratings for the kids, or have shopping options nearby, then Corona really does a pretty good job of checking off most of those boxes. Again, though, if you are commuting every day to the OC or LA for work, I guess I should say depending on how far you have to commute, but for some people, I mean, it could get a little wearing. Or if you're looking at Corona and thinking, I'm gonna find a super affordable, cheap price here, and yes, compared to most of the Orange County, LA area there, I mean, you're more likely to find a cheaper price over here. It's just that I certainly would have to say that it's not the same bargain that it used to be. Hey, speaking of commuting, I got a quick question for you. If you live anywhere in the area and you've driven along that 91 freeway through Corona, do me a favor, let me know in the comments below, how is the traffic for you? As for the real estate here in Corona, the inventory of homes that you're gonna find is pretty well mixed. I mean, you're gonna find quite a few older resale homes to fairly new resale homes, all of which have nice neighborhoods, well-established neighborhoods, to include new build homes. There's quite a bit of new construction that is still popping up throughout the city. So as the title of this video says, is Corona still a smart move in 2025?
That's why I'm here.
Here's what I will say to that though. If you do work in Orange County, yes, there's a great opportunity to be able to save money buying a home in Corona compared to most of the OC. Of course, though, if spending a couple hours a day in traffic for some, the savings may not feel as worth it. On the flip side to that though, if that commute, a couple hours a day, if that's not that big of a deal for you, or maybe you don't even have to make that commute. Maybe you work here locally, or you commute the other direction, so you're not really dealing with that traffic, or maybe you do work in the OC, but you get to work kind of hybrid. You only have to go into work every so often, or maybe better yet, maybe you work out in the OC, but you don't even have to go at all. You work remotely from home. Then in that case, based on the feedback that I get about many of the neighborhoods, the schools, the amenities that are here, yeah, I would have to say that Corona could potentially be a fantastic option. Of course, though, if you do have any questions, or if you are thinking about buying or selling, my contact information is below. Feel free to reach out. Otherwise, until then, we'll catch you in the next one.